All right, welcome back. So here you can see that I have already kind of set up number 4 where everything's lined up the way it needs to be. I've just left it blank this time because I think it probably looks confusing to write something here. But if there's no x squared, I'm just going to leave this blank. Just like there's no number by itself, right? There's no c value. So I'm going to leave this blank. That way these two things are lined up next to each other. Okay? So now we're going to subtract. So for this one, the y's get canceled out. They go away, which means I have 0 is equal to x squared minus nothing is just x squared. Now, x minus x also leads to 0, so I'm not going to write anything this time. And then this is kind of where it's tricky. Here we actually have a 0, so 0 minus 5 is technically negative 5. So you should get minus 5 here since we're subtracting, okay? So if that's the case, now we have our answer is 0 is equal to x squared minus 5. And from here, I'm just going to add 5 to both sides. That gives me 5 is equal to x squared. Take the square root, and I get x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 5. Okay? So this is actually technically 2 answers, right? Since I can't solve for the square root of 5, I'm just going to leave it like this. But I technically have 2 answers here. Now I'm going to use this answer, and I'm going to go ahead and plug it in to one of these to help me come up with another answer. So let's do one that I think is actually going to kind of be nice to use. I think this one. No, let's just use this one. So let's use y equals x plus 5. So if x is this, then I actually get, let's do the positive version first. So positive square root of 5 plus 5, which means my answer is just 5 plus square root of 5. Okay? Believe it or not, that is technically one answer, right? And so my answer here is my x value is the positive square root of 5 plus square root of 5. It's technically one complete answer. Okay, next up, I got my second equation. In this case, I've got the negative square root of 5. And then I've got plus 5 still. So that gives me 5 minus the square root of 5. Okay, so for my second answer, I have the negative square root of 5 minus square root of 5. I'm going to put an and between these, and those are my 2 solutions. It does look a little weird, but this is what you're going to get for a lot of these quadratics. Let me double check my answer just to make sure I did this right. Yep, so this is exactly what it says in the book as well. So, okay, so that's how you do number 4. Let's do number 5. So don't be freaked out if you get weird answers like this. It's totally normal. You're not always going to get weird answers, but it's very likely when we're dealing with quadratics. Okay. Once again, I'm going to line these up first. So I'm going to do y equals 9x squared plus 8x minus 6, just written just as is. And then for this one, I've got y equals, now I'm going to have nothing here, 5x minus 4, okay? And I'm going to subtract these two. So subtracting these two will help me cancel out my y. The reason why we don't want to add them is because I'm just going to get 2y if I add these. That's not going to actually get rid of my y value. But doing it this way will, okay? So 9x squared, and then 8 minus 5 is 3x, and then negative 6 minus negative 4 is actually positive 4, so negative 6 plus 4 equals negative 2, okay? And then now I've got kind of a weird case here. Now I have to decide which method I'm going to use for this one. And so for this one, I actually think it's probably better to try and use the quadratic formula. Okay, I usually try and stay away from that as much as possible. But in this case, I think it's unavoidable. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so I'm going to copy everything into this formula right here. So we get x equals negative b, so negative 3, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so 3 squared, minus 4 times a times c. Okay, all over 2 times a, in this case, is 9. Okay, let's keep solving this. Negative 3. Now in this step, I'm going to get rid of as much stuff as I can. So this is 9. Negative 4 times 9 is negative 36 times negative 2 is positive 72. And then that's 18. Okay, so I just solved all the things that I know I could solve first. And then next step, negative 3 plus or minus. Well, this turns into 81. Ooh, that's a nice number to work with. I like that. Okay. So now this is going to change to a 9. Well, plus or minus 9. So let's go ahead and rewrite this down here. X equals negative 3 plus or minus 9 all over 18. Okay. Now this is where the split has to happen. We have to do this first. So we're going to add 9 first. So negative 3 plus 9 gives me 6 over 18, which is equal to 1/3. Okay, that's my first answer. Second answer is going to happen, we'll put a little plus sign so you can see that's us adding. And this is going to be us subtracting. So now we've got negative 3 minus 9 gives us negative 12 over 18. Okay. If we take a 6 out of both of these, we get negative 2/3. Okay. So now I got my two answers. Now with these two answers, I'm going to plug them in up here. So you might be kind of tired and going, oh man, Mr. Redmond, this is a lot of work. But if you notice, oops, I was pointing at the wrong one. If you notice, if you plug it into one of these, plugging it into this one actually doesn't give us a whole lot of work left to do. So let's go ahead and plug this one in first. Y equals 5 times x minus 4. Let's go ahead and solve that. 5/3 minus 4. And if we solve 5/3 minus 4, we think of it as we're going to have a negative number. And then we can just think of it backwards. So 4 minus 5/3. So 3/3 will get us down to 3. Another 2/3 will get us down to 2 1/3. So 2 1/3, 7/3 is what 2 1/3 is. Okay. So that means my final answer for this one is 1/3 negative 7/3. Okay. So that's my first answer. Second answer, y equals 5 times 2/3 minus 4 gives us 10/3 minus 4 equals, okay, so this one is 3 1/3 minus 4 actually leaves us with negative 2/3. So our answer here is 2/3 negative 2/3. So those are our two answers for this one. Okay, so there's 5. Number 6. Number 6, we've got y equals 2x plus 5. Y equals negative 3x squared plus x minus 4. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rewrite the second one underneath this one. Y equals, there's no x squared, so I'm going to leave that blank, but I have a 2x, so 2x, okay, and then I have a plus 5, and I'm just going to scratch this one out so I don't get confused, okay? So here's my actual set of equations here. All right, and then we're going to subtract these two things. Subtracting these leaves me with 0. Negative 3x squared gives me negative 3x squared. 1x minus 2 gives me negative x, okay? Negative 1x, which is just negative x. Negative 4 minus 5 is negative 9, okay? And then from here, this is what I'm left with. So I think, yeah, for this one, it's still going to be easier to just use the quadratic formula. So we'll just look at it up here and solve it right here. Okay. X equals negative b. So negative b in this case is a positive 1, since it was a negative 1 to begin with, plus or minus the square root of b squared. So b squared in this case is going to be negative 1 squared, minus 4ac all over 2 times a. Okay, let's just solve it one step at a time. So, well, I'm actually going to do multiple steps at a time. I'm going to get rid of everything that has parentheses, all in one step. No need to rewrite this 1,000 times. Just solve everything you can solve this step. So 12 times 9. What is 12 times 9? I don't have that one memorized. So that's, I think, 90, so 108. Yeah, 108. How many negatives? 1, 2, 3. So I got a negative 108 all over negative 6. And right here is when I realize, oh, that's going to give me a negative number. If that's going to give me a negative number, guess what? I can stop right here, write down my answer. There's no solution. Doesn't matter what else is written. This one's automatically no solution. And that's kind of nice. All right, so what I want you to do is go ahead and work on the practice worksheet for this. There's nothing else to do here, so you're just going to work on that. That'll be your homework. Practice 9.5. Okay? If you have any questions about this or the homework from yesterday, you can go ahead and bring it up to me on Monday. We're going to spend next few days on review before the test. The test will most likely either be Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how solid everybody is on this stuff. So go ahead and do your best on the homework. Come ready with questions on Monday, and then we'll tackle those and do some review. All right, see you soon.